Lead is a naturally occurring metal. It's been around forever, as we all know. Unfortunately, lead can be harmful, and particularly to children under the age of 7. 72 schools we tested at the St. Louis Public Schools, 32 had lead contamination in their water. I think there's been an outpouring of concern both to the St. Louis Public Schools as well as the national news media as to taking care of the kids. So we've been contacted by quite a few school districts to check their water for lead. It's a fairly simple service. The goal always is to test the water while the water is stagnant. So what we traditionally do is we wait approximately 8 hours after use. So a lot of times our inspectors are in the school buildings at very, very early hours of the morning. We'll come in and we take a 250 milliliter draw sample, which is in essence the first draw of the day. That tells us, if you will, the worst case scenario. It tells us when lead will be at its highest content. And our job is to examine those water sources. That is drinking fountains, the kitchen sinks, might be the hand washing sinks in the kitchen, as well as the sink in the teacher's lounge where the proverbial coffee pot is made. We test that to see what the lead content is. All schools should certainly have their water checked, particularly if they were built before 1986. This is not a new issue. In their handbook dated 1990, the US EPA talks about environmental hazards in your schools, and one of the very first things they talk about is testing your drinking water for lead content. Municipal water supplies are required to test their water for lead, as well as many, many other contaminants, metals, biological concerns, etc. So we know that the water coming to our buildings, generally speaking, meets all these requirements, federal and state requirements. So the testing that we are doing focuses on the actual fixtures inside the buildings themselves. Is a fountain working properly, or is it failing? Is a particular sink working properly, or is it failing? To that end, what is interesting is that you never actually know what the results are until you get them back. So 5 sinks might be great, and 1 sink may not be. So that's why we test every fixture. In some very, very old buildings, those of the 1930s or earlier construction, could very well be solid lead pipes. We even see solid lead pipes in schools constructed as late as the 1960s. Then from there, it may just be the joints, tees, and valves associated with the plumbing fixtures. And then from there, like you said, the lead solder on copper or galvanized or whatever the case may be. Do keep in mind that the last ban on lead in residential plumbing fixtures was only 2011. It was actually signed by President Obama. So this thought that lead has been banned for many, many years is only partially correct.